Hello, everybody, and welcome to this latest in the ValuesJam guest session series. And Giorgio, great to have you with me today. So to start with, please introduce yourself and tell people about the great work that you do.
Hi, Mr. Alan and everyone for watching the video. Thank you for having me here, Mr. Alan. And my name is Giorgio, and I'm living in Indonesia. Uh, I'm going to start to introduce myself by uh, stating that I'm a long life learner. Currently, I'm a student in Indonesia. I'm taking a master degree of business administration or MBA in Indonesia. uh, I am motivated and I am currently involved in several projects such as social programs and also an ESG and environmentally uh, development program. And my works currently is engaging with the youngsters in Indonesia to create impact through their surroundings. And I have this little organization called Kasih Balik in Indonesia, but in English it means give back. Why the name is give back? Because this is our core values where we want to encourage the youth, especially the students and people around me, our friends, to be able to participate to the society by giving back what they already received from the society itself. For example, we understand that since we're a children until we become a postgraduate student or graduate student or anything in the communities, we were given the chance from others, such as from the teachers, from the friends, from your parents, and from the even from peoples that maybe strangers that you don't know, but they help you and they give you something to make you have the opportunity to become what you are today. And I think that's the motivation about giving back, because we realize that we already have the privilege uh, for us, but there are other peoples in our communities that did not have the same opportunities or privilege. Therefore, we want to empower and we want to raise awareness and invite more youngsters in Indonesia to be able to participate with us through our programs. It's a small programs, but yeah, we do social activities such as a free medical checkup for marginalized communities in Indonesia, uh, in Jakarta, and yeah, these small activities is what keeps us sane and have a recreation from our daily life that are hectic and full of works. And yeah, I think that's a brief introduction of myself. Maybe I could deep dive more while going on the discussion.
Giorgio, that's great to hear. And what I love about what you've described is there's a couple of things in particular. One is this sense of understanding that you've been fortunate enough to receive, and so it makes sense that you give back. And to encourage that sentiment and action, I think is wonderful. And then the other thing about what you've just explained is that it's very much at a grassroots practical
Yeah.
level. And I enjoy that as well because sometimes people in this sort of space remain in their heads thinking of plans and concepts, and nothing different happens. So, all power to you for your work. Where can people get in touch with you, Georgie?
Oh, yeah, right. Maybe people could get in touch with me through my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And yeah, my LinkedIn is the same as my name, Giorgio Gatica Singgih. Singgih is my surname. And yeah,
Okay.
you can search me through LinkedIn and yeah, we can chat and send emails through the LinkedIn. Yeah.
Brilliant. So let's choose our card. So I've
Oh,
got
okay.
the. I'm going to tip out the cards here. This is always an exciting bit because we've no idea what cards are going to come. How many piles would you like me to put in front of me?
Sorry. What? Can you
How
repeat it
many
again?
piles of cards shall I make?
Um, maybe five, five
Five.
files.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're going to be different sizes. And so now I have five piles in front of me. So number one is on my left and number five is on my right. So which pile card shall I choose?
On your Right. Right.
So which number? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5?
Oh, 5.
5. Okay. And now we've got 6, 8, 12 cards. So a number between 1 and 12.
I think okay, I'm a bit nervous. I think I'm going to take 10. Number
10.
10. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So you were a bit nervous, but you had the courage to choose a card. Courage is the word. All right. So how do you feel about that?
Mm, actually, I don't know, but this morning I just get out for a meeting, and in the way back of the meeting, uh, I'm preparing myself to okay, I'm going to have a discussion with Mr. Alan, which what values will become out. I don't know, I don't know. And then sometime and then uh the terms of courage is pop up on my mind. What if what
Are you
what if
serious?
it is courage or confidence? Yeah, I thought yeah, yeah. I, I think it's a quite I don't know whether it's a coincidence or what, but I think I should have been prepared.
Well, do
Okay,
you
okay.
know, you won't know this, but you've made me a little bit emotional by what you've just described, because this seems to happen quite a lot with ValuesJam, and there's no rational explanation for it.
Yeah.
And I don't really believe in, this happens because of
Yeah.
the universe and all this sort of stuff.
Mhm.
But there's something going on. And just to compare your story, I was having a values jam with a lady, and I drew the card connection with the environment. Sorry, protection of the environment. And she said to me, Alan, have you just played a trick on me? So I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, last night when I was thinking about us having this conversation, I was wondering, will protection of the environment come up? And that's the card that you've just. So you're not alone, Georgie. It happens to other people.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the first question then is this. What does courage mean to you? And also, what does it look, feel, and sound like?
Okay. Um, maybe I'm going to start by the definition of courage itself. Uh, courage means brave, right? It means that uh, we are ready and uh, we want, and also we are able to take a next step in our life. And of course, in everything that we do, we always have the risk or the potential problems or yeah, anything bad could happen to us, right? But when we have the courage, we have the ability to surpass all the um, nervousness maybe or the insecurities and everything that are being a barriers for you. And for instance, um, maybe I'm going to start with a story that uh, today, today, uh, I understand that my communication skills, especially in English, is not that good. Yeah, for me. Yeah, I feel like that I have some kinds of troubles when choosing words and terms when talking real time. And also today I had a meeting, and this meeting is a new expertise for me. I never ever had a chance to join this high level meeting and uh, and networking with high level people. And actually, this Thursday is my scariest day since the first year, since the January starting January. It is my first. This is my scariest day because I have two pressures. The first one is have is I should go for a meeting with people that I do not know, and they have titles and positions in their company. And after the meeting, I have to meet Mr. Alan to talk in English real time. Actually, it's quite scared, but I think this is when courage came in. When I think about what I'm scared and what was the worst possible scenario that would happen to me, is that maybe I will be ashamed a little bit, or maybe I could, why do that, why? But I realized that even though everything went bad, but I believe I will learn something from it. Like, this is the first time I'm going to the high level meeting, and this is uh, not my first time, but I'm off. I'm not often talking in English regularly, and yeah, I think I just have to push myself to be more than I am before. And courage means I have to be able to be ready and want to take the next step of my life. And this this is what courage means for me. And when we talk about sounds and feel about courage, I think it is what make us stronger, I think, because people who doesn't have a courage are going to live in their some kind of jail or their own sandbox, where they are trapped and they cannot go anywhere, they cannot think out of the box, they cannot do anything that are not in accordance with their own little system. And I think by having this courage, it's like we can go out of the door, we are uh, moving forward to something experimental and something we do not know, something uh, maybe we are hoping to be or not, I don't know. But regardless of the consequences of what we're going to take, I think that courage is the fuel or the fundamentals of people who are gonna grow, gonna grow. Because without courage, I think people cannot grow. And yeah, I think that's how I feel and thought about courage.
It's a great start. And listening to you, I was starting to think about how courage is a it's a really interesting lens, because it's usually based on what we don't know and what we fear. And so, like you said, you're thinking, oh, is that meeting going to go okay? Um, and I'm scared of what might go wrong. But actually, let's take this conversation. By the time we finish this conversation, if I said to you, "Oh, I really enjoyed that, Giorgio. How would you like to do that again?" You would be a whole lot more comfortable
Yeah,
making the choice to have another conversation than you were having the first conversation. And yet, everything would be the same. So the only difference is your experience, right? So rather than it being new, it's not new anymore, even though you might only have done it once. And for that reason, it's courage is very valuable, because for a small amount of effort, you can get a lot of reward back from it.
exactly. And if I can add a little more,
Yeah,
I think opportunities didn't come every day, right? And people who doesn't have the courage, they never gonna take any opportunities, and even maybe they won't be aware what kind of opportunities are ahead of them. So I think the courage is a very valuable, as what you say. Everyone need to have that courage in themselves to be able to moving forward and going ahead.
yeah. And at the same time, maybe it's misrepresented as well, because when we talk about courage, there's a temptation to build up everything that could go wrong, to make having courage such an important asset. But actually, because it's unknown, it needn't necessarily go wrong. So instead of us convincing ourselves that we need all this courage to go into the unknown, perhaps it might be more beneficial for us to just understand that the unknown is the unknown. And yes, some things might not happen well, but some things might happen wonderfully. So I'm thinking that maybe curiosity is an antidote to needing courage somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you
And
think about that?
yeah, I agree that maybe sometimes people just need to accept everything and make peace with it and just go for it. Because I think the main point of having courage is they have the ability to confront their fear, their pain, or uncertainties and everything ahead in front of them. Therefore, yeah. Oh, but it won't be courage uh other than having the ability to confront the una- uncertainties. But courage will never be implemented if they didn't not to take actions about what they wanna do.
Yeah,
I think, yeah.
yeah.
So courage must be tandem with the actions and also the acceptance of, yeah, we can confront everything, but then again we have to take the actions. If not, therefore the courage is none, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And that's not to say that nothing is ever dangerous or risky.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so in some situations, yes, you would need courage. But sometimes maybe we make out things to be um, bad or not good when we don't know what they are. And so it's a shame to make that judgment so early. And when you talked about the sounds that you associate with courage and the images and the feelings. Could you just replay that, please? So, what sounds come to mind when you think of the word courage? What sounds come to mind? What images come to mind? And what feelings come to mind?
I think when I heard courage is like I don't know. I don't know, but the first thoughts that are pop up in my mind is like about the David and the Goliath story, if you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is very certain that David is facing the big Goliath, right? And he only has the small catapult and the small stones. Yeah, but then he still step into the ring and fight with Goliath. And I think that's one of the image or uh yeah, the image and how we should feel if we have the courage or not. Because we already understand that there's this big thing in front of us, and yet I'm still going in to to defeat this that big thing, right? Goliath, I mean.
I think
Yeah.
it's a really fascinating example that you've used because I think what you've described is your perspective of David and Goliath, right?
Mhm.
But it's not necessarily David's perspective. So when you see this small guy taking on this big guy, your perspective is, oh, this guy must need so much courage to do that. And the reason I'm saying this is because a terrible incident happened not that long ago in the UK where there was somebody with knives in a public place harming people. And one guy basically went and dealt with it, right? So stopped it happening and arrested the perpetrator. And when he was interviewed, he said, when I saw this happening, I didn't have to think. I just went and sorted it out because that was I knew what I had to do. And people were saying, but weren't you being really brave? And he was saying, no, it was just what I had to do. So there's this difference between the external perspective when you witness and maybe David, I don't know whether he felt that he had a lot of courage or not. All I'm saying is that it is this question of perspective that comes into play.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, sometimes courage in is like an
Instinct, yeah.
instinct, yeah, yeah. Because it is as simple as when we're facing or given something that we're didn't know about it first. For example, um, last year, Mr. Charles talking about World Value Days, and he wants to raising awareness for peoples, especially the youngsters in Indonesia. And at first, I have never been working together with what is called with people outside Indonesia, especially international people. It is quite scared. I mean, it is quite scary for me because it will affect our reputations and it will also affect our credibility and etc. But then the only things that pop up of my mind is if I'm not the one who are taking these chances, who will help him? Who will do this thing for him? So I realized that for me to be able to decide that way is because I also have the courage to understand and I have the courage to realize that it is okay and I can do my best for him. And I think, yeah, in terms of the feeling that I had is that instinctively I'm proposing myself, I'm taking the step, and I'm uh, taking actions for anything that maybe I don't even know yet that I'm capable of or not.
Yeah, it's a great example, and I think you used a couple of words earlier when you were talking right at the beginning about how whatever happens, what is the worst that can happen? That's a great question to ask, and the worst thing that can happen is that nothing happens, right? Probably in this situation, and you will undoubtedly have learnt something during the process, and as a result, you will have grown. So
Yeah,
irrespective of what happens, you will benefit. And then the other thing that came to mind when you were talking was what you were talking about if I don't do it, who's going to do it? I think there is something about courage and the willingness to go first. You know, be the first person or take the first step, be proactive when, like you've described, you don't necessarily know what's going to happen.
yeah. Because like oh yeah, because as what I've been stating before that in courage there are bravery, right? We have to be brave to face something, and not only to be brave but also we have to be able to uphold ourselves or being resilient to what we are facing. And yeah, and we won't be resilient or we won't be have the braveness if we didn't have the willingness to do it. So
Yeah.
I think uh since the first time Mr. Charles came to me, I already have those willingness. I already have those willingness. Uh I have those willingness to do it, but I'm not very confident about myself. But then during that process and during the discussions, I gain my bravery, and yeah, I just do it what I should do and keep maintain it and being resilient to what I've been upload uh
Yeah, and I
Mr.
think what
Charles.
what you're touching on here is that it's much easier for us to tap into courage when it is something important to us and what we believe in.
Yeah,
So, if, for instance, one of your family members was at risk for some reason, probably it would not be difficult for you to put
Exactly.
yourself at risk.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was a stranger, perhaps you would be less inclined to take the same amount of personal risk for yourself. So it's this thing about the connection between courage and what is important to us that plays a role in some way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
we've started kind of very big. So let's, with the next question, let's come down and be really small. And what I'd like to ask you is, where have you noticed a lack of courage?
Oh,
So courage
yeah.
missing.
Yeah. I think I think it's quite regular. I mean, it's not uh happens only to me, but also for everyone. When you're like you've been saying that when we are facing with the unknown or we are going into the unknown, yeah, people tends to be insecure, right? We are we are really aware about the consequences. We are thinking too much about it. We are scared to take the risk or do the next step. Uh, but then I think it is necessary for everyone to realize when they have the lack of courage, because this time when we stop and think about our insecurities, think about our lack of confidence, we think about the consequences. I think that's what make us more firm about the decisions or the consequences that we are going to take. So if you ask me when, I think most of the time when I'm facing um, with the big decisions or big opportunities, of course I will lack of courage. I'm going to scared a little bit, but I think I take that moment of scared. Uh, yeah, that moment of scared and cautious is to is for me to reflect and to rethink. Is this worth it? Is this not worth it? Is this the thing I should do, or is it not, or what? I think the A to Z, and then yeah, I decide which one I'm gonna do. And I think everyone should have that moment, because it is makes us firm about the decision, and it gives us more understanding about ourselves, to which kind of every choices have consequences, right? So A have B, B have C, and etc. And we can choose which consequences that we can which consequences we want to pick, if we realize the bigger picture of our lack of courage, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you've made me think of a time when I lacked courage. So I worked in a hotel, and my boss was on holiday. And so I had to attend a senior management meeting in his place because he was on holiday. And the meeting was very boring. I didn't understand what was being talked about. But then at the end of the meeting, there was a discussion around what we should invest money in the next year. And so the guy that was leading the meeting started to go around the room asking people what they thought. And I remember my heart just going really fast. And when it got to me, he said, "So, Alan, what are your thoughts?" And I said, "Well, I'm only here because Michael is on holiday, and I'm not sure what he thinks about this." And what he said to me was, "Alan, Michael is not here, and so what he thinks is not important for this meeting. What do you think?" And so my job was to work in the events department, so conferences and big dinners and stuff like that. And in order to provide that service, we hired a lot of people on a temporary or casual basis. So we would hire maybe 60 waiters and 20 wine waiters for one function, for one evening. And these guys, we provided them with a uniform, obviously, but actually there was no changing room. And so they changed from their civilian clothes into their uniform at the loading bay of the hotel. And when he said to me, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, we hire all of these casual waiters to serve in our hotel, which is a five-star hotel, and our guests are chief executives and senior leaders, senior people, very wealthy people, and we expect these waiters to represent our business very, very well, but we don't give them somewhere to change. So that's what I would suggest we consider." And he didn't know about this, and he just said, "Okay, thank you, we'll look into that." And within something like 3 months, a changing room had been built for the guys. Now, the reason I mention this is that when I was listening to your answer to the question, it made me realize the connection between the word courage and encourage. And the importance, so that general manager of that hotel encouraged me. And he didn't have to do that, but the difference it made was phenomenal. And so there's something about the power of encouragement to give people the confidence to come forward and do something, give them the courage. And I hadn't really thought about that connection too much previously.
I
Go ahead.
I agree. When we talk about courage, it must be related to the encouragement, and the source of encouragement itself sometimes maybe differs, right? I mean, maybe it will came out from our partners or colleagues, or maybe it's just coming out from ourselves. I don't know, but in my case, mm, when I face uncertainties, I tend to encourage myself by looking back things that all the challenges, all the past things that I've done. So I have more courage inside of me to understand that, oh, there's not, I'm capable to do it. So I think when you are sharing your stories about uh, your managers are encouraging you to take the decisions or to say out loud what's your opinion about the investment, I think it is also important for all of us to understand that not every people, or I mean, not everyone, in terms of our surroundings, even though they seems are pressuring. I mean, like, uh, I mean, like, for example, like these conversations, for me, actually, it started with pressure, right? I mean, I'm feeling pressured, I'm feeling nervous because I don't think I can do it. But then the encouragement you give to me, the encouragement that it's okay, it will be fine. Okay, and then if you realize that after a couple sessions, I mean, a couple topics that we've been talking, after I talk, you always align back my sentences, and so it will be more understandable for the audience, I think. I don't know is it intentional or not, but I feel like that it is a quite uh, a nice gesture, I think, for me, because I think the discussions is going well because of you align it back and you make
Well, Georgie, thank you for your comments, but I can tell you that this conversation is no different than a conversation with a person whose first language is English. And the reason that sometimes I play back what you said is simply to check that I've understood properly. That's all. And to show you that I've been listening.
but then your gesture is the encouragement that oh, what I've been talking is understandable for you and you understand what I'm talking, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
if we can keep sharing, even though I know my English is quite blabbery, but yeah.
Well, let me put it this way. Your English is better than my Indonesian.
Thank you.
So in ValuesJam, Giorgio, there is an opportunity for you to create your own question about the value of courage. So why don't you do this? Ask your own question about courage, and we together will answer it. So a question beginning with who, what, where, when, why, or how.
Mm. Oh, okay. Maybe it's a little bit similar to the past questions, but when we're talking about courage, what does it means, and the encouragement that give us confidence, there's something in my mind that are uh, thinking about when actually uh, courage become significant in sorry, when courage become a significant impact on your life. I mean, is there any uh mile sorry is there any experience that makes you understand that courage is something significant in your life?
Okay. And do you have an example to share, or would you prefer me to answer first?
Oh, okay. Let me share first.
Okay.
The first time I understand that, since the beginning of this video, I've been stated that everyone should have the courage and everyone should take the moment of uh, nervous and uncertainties and overthinking, and people should have to understand that encouragement is come from within ourselves and external, and maybe it will give us a boost for confidence. But then we have to go back to the first to the fundamentals of the courage itself. When was the time I understand that turns out courage is something that I have to have in this life, and it is starting from it's called, wait, I forget the terms. uh, oh, since I was I'm in junior high school, uh I first study anything. I mean, like, I'm just going to school for playing and for meeting our friends, and I never do the homeworks, I never do the exam, and of course my grade is very low. And I understand that I sorry, at that time I don't understand why people uh study, why my friends are focused on their classes while me, I'm having fun with my friends. But then again, every time we get the report from the uh, teachers in the end of the semesters, my friends that are playing with me getting higher score than me. Like, there are 36 students in my class, and I am the second uh, lowest grade in my class. So I
Okay.
am the 34th. And at the time, I thought it was fine. Everything is fine. I'm the happy-go-lucky guy that still happy, haha, he, and go and just playing and strolling around. But then I realized when I uh moving up to the ninth grade, I realized that my friends are leaving me, because in ninth grades we are going to have the national exam, and this national exam will determine whether we are accepted to the high school or not.
Yeah.
So at the 9th grade, everyone was focused on study. Even I called it my friend, the playing group. Yeah, the guys that I've been playing with suddenly focus on studying, and people didn't want to be a group with me in terms of class projects or anything,
Yeah.
because turns out I just realized that they do that, and it is understandable because I'm stupid. I think that because my grades are low, so yeah, it's understandable for them for not team up with me, right? uh but then uh I realized that, oh, turns out being stupid or have a low grades is not that happy anymore. I mean, at first I thought it's okay. I don't think about education. I don't think about classes or homework. But turns out it is how the society works. At least for me. At least for me. At least for my surroundings. And then after that, I graduate from junior high school, and hopefully I'm accepted to the same high school, which is one of the favorite school in Indonesia. And at that time when I'm in high school, the first thing I put in my mind is I know that I'm stupid. I mean, I do not know the soft terms for stupid, but I know that I'm lack of education. I mean, I'm not happy to study, but I realized that the society wants everyone to be smart. The society will appreciate people who are smart. With people with higher grades is more accepted than people having
Yeah.
a lower grade
Yeah.
everywhere. So then I know it is hard for me to understand that being left behind because of I'm stupid, but I insist myself, I push myself. I know I have to do this every day after after my classes is finished. I go to my teacher and I ask them to give me a personal guidance every day in each courses that I don't understand at all in the class. And fun fact, eh, and for a fact, people who are getting a personal guidance in school is the worst student. Only for the poor students. So being me every day with the teachers, it seems like that I'm the stupidest, yeah, the worst of the worst uh in my uh in my. But then but then I put that thought aside. I Do you know a book called The Art of Not Giving a There a book called The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Do you have heard about it?
I don't know if I have or not. There's another book similar title. Who's the author? Do you know?
Sorry, I forgot the author.
Is it Bob
But
somebody?
maybe. Oh,
Anyway.
yeah. But that book is the point of that book is if you have something more important that you have to focus, just focus on that one. You don't have to bother with anything else, right? So at that time, I insist myself to okay, I have to study, I have to get shit together, I have to be able to recollect myself, and I have to be able to push myself to be a better person. And at first, it was hard for me. And sorry, and then my grade is gradually increased. Yeah, I get a better grade. Yeah, hopefully. And but there's still these insecurities of me to approach people. I mean, like my past track record is I am the stubborn guy, I'm the lazy guy, I'm the stupid guy. So even when I have a better grades, I still have those insecurities. Will people accept me now? Will people okay with me now? But because I have the willingness and I have the understanding that not every consequences I should take. I could just pick the consequences that I want to take, and I do not have to be burdened with all the consequences that are in there. Then I gradually increase my confidence and I push myself to have the courage to create a new bond of friendships with new friends in high school. And I think that's the best year of my life when I was the worst student in my school. And then gradually I become having so many friends in my class and people accept me. People want to do projects with me. People want to discuss with me. People want to learn with me and study with me. I think it's quite an improvement for myself. And the point of this whole story is that I think I will never be able to achieve this level of my life, this pace of my life, because if yeah, this pace of my life without the courage that I have with my 10th grade self. And I think that's the most life-changing moment in my life, to have the courage to be to be able to change. Yeah, I think that's the the main point of the story. Sorry if it's a bit too long, but yeah, the point is, I think when was the time I understand that courage is a significant, I have a significant impact in our life, is when I understand that courage is is the one, or is a yeah, is the one who push us to be able to change in a better way, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think it's a really good example, and it's so what you're saying is that, you know, you could have stayed like you were, and then nobody would have wanted to be your friend. Nobody would have wanted to work with you. You wouldn't have got good grades. You wouldn't have been able to get into the good school. And then what would that have done for the rest of your life? That, you know, so in terms of different outcomes, one path versus the other path, it could have been so different. Um, and yet, on the other side of this story that you just shared makes me kind of sad in a way. And the reason I say that is because society and the systems in society are so powerful. And it, I just, I feel that it would be a better society if people who were not naturally academic, for instance, but had other talents, were encouraged to develop those talents rather than fit in with the like mainstream and be the same as everybody else. So I'm not taking anything away from the fantastic change that you made happen. It's just like a little side note that, you know, is that best for us all, for society and its systems to be so strong that everybody feels that that's the only way to get on. And my example is, I think, a little bit like the opposite of yours. Um, so it was a similar sort of time. So I was 10 years old. So in the UK, you attend primary school, and then when you're 11, you go to the next level of school, right? So it was my last year of the primary school. And I remember the headmaster, I don't know why, but it was outside. It might have been after some sort of sports day or something. And we were walking side by side. And he said to me, Alan, I would like you to be the head boy for the coming year, for my last year at the primary school. And and he said, and also there's a head girl, and I'm thinking that it would be this girl. And he said the girl's name. And so I just remember thinking, she's not the best person. Because she was academic, really bright, you know, the cleverest girl probably in the school. Um, And I found I don't know that I made a conscious choice to do this. It just seemed to come out. And I said to him, okay, yes, I'd love to do the job, the head boy. But have you considered, and I'd said another girl's name. And I said, because she might not be as strong academically as the girl that he had said. And I said, but she's still quite near the top. And also, she's really good at sport. And so, maybe somebody like that would be more interesting to have as the head girl. And like I say, I didn't really think about it, but a 10-year-old boy having, just being willing to say, why don't you do this instead? And I would love to have got into his head actually, because I'd love to know what the reaction was. It's like, who is this guy? So telling me. So I think that courage, we've talked about almost two applications. One is when you put yourself to so much inconvenience and trouble in order to get to where you know you need to be for a different result and all of the change. And then the other one is the courage to actually go against the system and what is kind of supposed to be the way. So isn't that interesting that there are those two applications of actually the same thing? And I'm just conscious of time, and I think that this is we always wrap up a values jam in the same way. And so, Giorgio, I'm really interested and curious about your answer to this question. What are you encouraged to do differently as a result of this conversation about courage, I mean?
Okay. Okay. Maybe. Okay. It's always started with maybe, I think. I should have not started with maybe. Um, After this conversation, uh, I want to encourage myself to be more confident and to be more out, to be more all out, and to be more able to take take a new step. I think. What do I mean by it? Is I understand that peoples are not perfect, and that's perfectly fine. And I should just have been to be confident about myself, and I should have been to be able uh, to brought up myself to the table in the most convenient way. And I know that maybe, sorry, maybe again. I know that uh, having this uh, public recorded or yeah uh, conversations might have a different impacts for other people. But then uh, I realized that everything that I say, even though my English is bad and everything, all those worst case scenarios in my head, but I think I do this for everyone's goods. I mean, I'm not doing anything bad for other people's. I'm not judging people. I'm not talking bad about other people's. I just want to share my experience and how I could get over my life by having the courage inside of myself. So I think that's what should I keep uphold for myself in for every circumstances again eh, up in the future later on. For
Okay.
instance, like meeting with new people, talking in English, I think I should be more prepared and I should for yeah, okay.
All right. Well,
That's
first, I think you should know that your English is excellent and you're very eloquent. So, I think maybe you should stop worrying about that. Uh, and I've got a question for you, which is when will you have the first chance to practice what you've just said you're encouraged to do differently?
Actually, currently I have been participating in several projects that are insist me to be able to speak in English in front of the public. Sorry, in this case, my most problems currently is the English, because last month I've been going to Korea and I've been living in Korea for like a month. I've been meeting with people in Korea, and there one moment I meet with this one professors in uh, one of the prestige Korean university, and we sat together for a coffee and we talked about my thesis. And after that meetings end, when I going back home, the only things inside my head is that, damn, what did I say? Why I'm so blabbery? Why? And it gives me a new perspective that, oh yeah, I should enhance and I should increase my public speaking and confidence, especially when speaking in English. Because I know personally, when I'm being calm, I think I'm doing fine. But then when I'm getting a bit nervous, I think it's blur out. Everything is just blurred. And yeah, so because I participating in several projects that insist me to speak in English, I think this year will be quite challenging for me, and to be to be able to prepare myself and get ready to be able to speak
Yeah.
more confident. Yeah.
Okay. And mine, this conversation has helped me to realize the power of other people. So the power of encouragement. And I think also to realize that courage is a personal perspective. So when I'm in a position to encourage somebody else, I'm going to make sure that I seek to understand their perspective rather than, sometimes people say, oh, go on, you can do it. So, like for me to say to you, Giorgio, you can just speak in English to people, that's fine. So, that encouragement is given maybe with good intention, but actually not with your perspective. So, I'm going to seek to, when I encourage people, to understand their perspective in order to be able to encourage them, because encouragement is so powerful. So you've helped me get to that place today. And thank you very much for a wonderful values jam on the topic of courage.
And I also want to say thank you for your encouragement and for being very patient towards me, and also willing to talk with me about this complex and yeah explorative stuff in ValuesJam.
Fantastic. Thanks, Giorgio. Bye.
Thank you, Mr.